in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to weekly PECB webinars related to transport, telecommunication and energy. I am Mustafa Bislimi from PECB and today's webinar will be hosted by PECB partner and certified trainer engineer Tawfik Soukieh, who will talk about standard ISO 50001 with the topic Understanding Energy Management System. You can submit questions and comments throughout the presentation by using the chat function in the right-hand control panel, and we will answer to them accordingly. Please, Taufik, you can start the presentation.
Thank you, Mustafa. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar with the PECB. We're going to talk about understanding the energy management system. We'll talk about its prospect, how is it working, what's the benefit, and all that. Taban, I'll be thankful if you can keep all your questions to the end, and I'll answer them to the best of my knowledge. And I'll start the webinar now. Taban, you should see the screen in front of you. Everything I'm going to discuss and present will be in front of you on the screen. We're going to talk about today understanding the energy management system, so 50001 2011, and you will see that the small, what we call abbreviation for the standard is ENMS, and they added the term N or the letter N because the energy management system is equal to the environmental management system. So just to distinguish between the environmental management system and the energy, they put ENMS. So this system was issued in 2011, and this system will give us a standard introduction on energy. So today we'll talk about the need for ISO 50000. We'll talk about the energy management system requirement. We'll compare it to the quality management system ISO 9000 and to the environmental management system. At the end of my overview, I'll talk about benefit for certification, and then we have what we call case studies. I'll go through one or two depending on the time, and I'll see how internationally they have adopted this system and how successfully it was. So this is the agenda today. We'll start by an introduction. The adoption of ISO 50000 by any organization will reduce your energy bill, will make your manufacturing more sustainable because you're studying your energy baseline. It promotes energy efficiency throughout your supply chain, and it helps you in meeting national reduction target. We all know the issue of 50,000. Today it's a very hot topic. There is a scarce energy problem all around the world. We know how oil prices has been going up and down, and there is a global need to make this standard work and to use this standard to the benefit of organizations that operate in the business line all over the world. Energy management, it's an effective use of energy to maximize profit. How can you maximize profit? By minimizing costs and enhancing competitive position. Once you have a strategy for adjusting your optimizing or studying your energy, you're giving your organization through your system and procedure what we call a successful line in succeeding in today's turbulence world. Energy prices are up and down. Sometimes we're having problem with energy flow. Countries, governments, organizations around the world are suffering with the supply of their energy to their users. We know that the numbers are increasing. The demand for energy is at what we call the utmost high level, and it's time that we reduce energy requirement per output by holding constant or reducing total cost of production of output from these systems. This is what the energy management system is all about. Why you want to implement it? Because you want to realize the saving. At the end, you have to give the saving in number. Energy, if we take the term reduce and talk about the objective of this energy management system, first one, R, which is reduce energy. E, educate your staff and student on energy and water management. D, document and publish information to achieve improvement. U, uphold legal requirement regarding energy use. C, continuously improve our performance and system. And E, effectively utilize energy effectiveness product and efficient product and service. What is energy management? You probably heard this term. You heard there's a standard that talks about energy management system. What is it about? Energy management is doing more with the same amount of energy or consuming less energy. You're going to still have the same constant flow of energy in your organization. But how can I optimize my use and lower the use of energy so I can save money? طبعا energy management saves money, makes buildings, organization, factories comfortable, healthy, and safe. Once you know what you're doing with the energy and you're managing it, you will have at the end a more profitable and safer organization. طبعا ISO 50001 ENMS, and I said why the term N was added, is applicable to any organization, whatever the size, geography, or the location. It talks about the system that you need to adopt in order to have an energy efficiency practices and to continually improve them. And it's custom tailored to your organization need. طبعا the good thing about ISO 50000, because they use the term requirement, it means you can be registered and certified against this system, or you can do something called self-declaration, declaring that you are applying the system but you're not certified for it, and it's based on measurement and verification that will help you track your needs. طبعا efficiency versus conservation, as you see on the screen in front of you. Efficiency, طبعا energy efficiency talks about involving technology. Maybe you're using an outdated production line, so you change them with a new line so you get less consumption of electricity or energy inside these lines. Your energy could be oil, gas, coal, wind, water, electricity, whatever it is. طبعا it focuses on equipment and machinery being used, because these machinery and equipment and utilities are the one who consumes energy. One example is installing LED light bulb throughout the house. طبعا conservation, energy conservation include any behavior that results in less energy. It talks about us people. You can even do it at home. You can set the time when you're going to watch TV, set a time when you're going to turn on the electricity on and off. When you leave home, you turn off all your electricity on. Once you start using these measurements, you have somehow applied the shadow of the ISO 50001, which is the energy management system. Now, why ISO 50000? Why do organizations need it around the world? They need it because ISO 15000 is one-of-a-kind standard that studies your energy all over your organization. To have it, you need policy first. You need top management commitment. You need top management to buy into it so you can fix targets and objectives. You need to use data to understand decision, make result, and continually improve it. طبعا system to improve energy performance talks about having energy programs, converting significant energy uses, energy saving opportunities and action into planning, corrective action, and audit management programs. We're talking about program. طبعا need for ISO 50000, you know what's happening with the fossil fuel usage and mitigation. Fossil fuels such as, when we talk about fossil fuel, we're talking about coal, petroleum, and natural gas. These are what we call the energy sources that we use that are made from the leftovers of the human beings, the matters, plus the trees. These energy sources are available underground, and today the need or the uses of these fossil fuel is at level high. Now, for example, I'm giving here Kuwait primary energy source, and their consumption is a major source for example, greenhouse gas emission. You've seen what the greenhouse gas emission has done to the whole world. It's a main issue now globally. They have installed, or they have in place, what we call the Kyoto Agreement that studies the emission of every country, and there is targets on every countries around the world to lower their emissions to the air of the greenhouse gases. طبعا Kuwait has now studied the matter of energy management and how the use or the demand for energy has increased all over the world over the past 10 years. It's been crazy. So they are doing now an energy management policy to lower the use of its energy and depend more on renewable energy. And a lot of you will ask me, what is renewable energy. Renewable energy, just like the energy that doesn't stop producing it from the source. We're talking about the wind. We're talking about the air. We're talking about the solar. We're talking about the heat and all of that. So, and I'll talk about other examples from all over the world, but now I'm taking specific example till we reach the international mind of applying ISO 50001. طبعا benefits, the main broad line of energy management: reduces consumption, increases comfort and safety, reduces pollution, makes our economy stronger, and increases our energy security. And what I mean by energy security, when you consume less energy or less electricity or less water or less gas, you give your country an energy security blanket where they can have more energy stored and transmitted when needed instead of consuming more. This is what I mean, what we mean by the term energy security. Now, energy management system. The system was issued in 2011 based on the demand, and it gives organization a model for continual improvement concerning their energy policy. It provides targets, fixed targets, objective and target to meet the policy. It uses data. It measures the result. Now, you can ask me what's the difference between this system and 9,000, 14,000 environment, 18,000 occupational health and safety, RC 14,000. I think the main difference between this standard and all those other standards is you have to sit down with this inside your organization and draft a paper and start calculating what is your, for example, kilowatt per hour. The calculations are the numbers, are your baseline study where you can compare how can you improve in the future. So this system does not talk about, is not about management where we sit down and discuss stuff and come up with meetings and agendas and outputs. No, it's about measurement. You need to measure how much you consume of any kind of energy that you're using. Now, this is the model. Taban, if you ask me where this model was derived, Taban, you know the Dr. Deming cycle: plan, do, check, act. You need first to plan the system. You have to have energy policy, energy planning, implementation and operation. Then you start your checking, monitoring, and measurement. Then you start your acting, which is the corrective and preventive action. I mean, you can do that through inspection or internal audit. And on top of that, you have the management review commitment toward the system. I mean, we know the objective. We want to reduce energy consumption. We want to minimize energy cost. Does this flash a light for all organizations around the world? Absolutely. Because if you ask any top management that runs any big facility where there is a major energy consumption and you talk about reducing energy cost, reducing waste, having an effect on your quality and product, because the more efficient your energy use is, the more reliable your machinery will run, because energy will always be there. So you will have less downtime, less breakdown in your manufacturing, less breakdown in your equipment that you're running, and you will have a more efficient organization. It works absolutely. This is the weight of energy saving compared to other technology. You look at these what we call statistics issued by the IEE. IEA is the International Economic Association that talks about what is the comparison between using carbon capture and storage, nuclear energy, biofuel, renewable energy, to energy saving. Look at the energy saving. Energy saving is a big weight today compared to the use of all these other energy uses. We'll discuss this further in my slides, but let me go about what we are discussing. Taban, you want to talk the language of top management when you implement any system, because top management will ask you, why do I need to bake? Why do I need to buy into it? Why do I need to implement this international standard that was issued by the ISO organization through a technical committee that drafts standard and everything? Why do we need to use it? We need to reduce our energy bills, especially with the fluctuation prices. You saw 2 years back, oil prices were at $120. Today they are $60, and they're expecting them to go back to 80. These fluctuations will make your production or consumption unstable. How can you stabilize your organization? You reduce your energy bill. You make your manufacturing more sustainable with constant flow of energy, because the less you consume, the more output you can get from that energy. You promote energy efficiency throughout your supply chain. You can talk about your supplier, talk about the standard to your users, to your customers, to your community, to your stakeholders. Stakeholders is everybody that's around that your organization. It could be your employees, it could be your customer, it could be your supplier, it could be your top management, the board, and it could be your community or the environment surrounding that organization. طبعا, when you consume less energy, you have less emission into the air. So you're helping national greenhouse reduction target of the greenhouse, and you're complying with the Kyoto Agreement at the end, which tells you we need to minimize the consumption of energy. Now, need to minimize fossil fuel usage? Yes, of course. Fossil fuel, I talked about it, such as coal, petroleum, natural gas. I'm giving here an example what they're doing in India. They are studying now these sources. They are minimizing them with the efficiency, because India's demand today is growing or is at a point high, and they need to adopt alternative approaches. And they're doing it. They have now something prepared called an energy management outcome, where if you're in your organization develop or start using any renewable energy, the top management or the top government body will come and support you with subsidies. They will give you less taxes. They will support you with more data and information, and they will support it as a national energy management system. But we know how the economy is growing in India. So it is part of what we call communicating the effectiveness of the energy management system. Now, what is the requirement? Does energy management system, ENMS 50001, has certain requirements? Yes, it does. You need first an energy policy. Under the policy, you need objective and target, an action plan to support that policy. And you need to have an energy supply uses and consumption study. You need measurement. A lot of people will say, all right, I reduce electricity, I'm turning off the electricity whenever I'm leaving the facility. That's not 50,000. You have to tell me, sir, how much you are consuming. What is the design data? What is your procurement? We even study your shipments, how much raw material you're receiving, what are the shipping sources, how much you're consuming energy there. We study everything. We study even the design procurement practices, design of your process and operation. How did you design it? How did you design your facility? Can we improve the design of the facility or the design of the equipment? You have two aspects of the design here. Design of facility and design of your equipment and processes. But as I said, this is the plan, do, check, act, and this is the main component of the ISO 15000. I've developed them into a plan which talks about policy, representation of the management, energy review, objective and target, then do the implementation, the communication and training, and then check the monitoring and measurement, and then the act, which is the management review, where it studies the strategic goal, optimization, how did we receive them. Come on, this is again, plan, do, check, act, the PDCA cycle I talked about. Energy management. All right, what do we start with? What is the main point we start with? The main point we start with is the policy. We talk about the availability of policy, and inside the policy, we need what? We need scale and nature of the organization to be documented. We need availability of sources and support. We need communication and commitment toward the policies and toward regulations and other requirements. You cannot say, all right, I'm violating the law. I'm using an energy that's not acceptable by the government, but I'm applying ISO 50000. It doesn't work that way. You need to apply applicable regulatory requirement to set forth what you are doing and make sure that you are applying the law of the land where you operate before you hit ISO 15000. And the last but not least, support the purchase of energy efficient technologies and services. You cannot sit down in your factory and say, all right, I'm not going to do anything about it. If the new machine come in, I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to study their consumption, their prices, because I can't afford it. Today, energy management system will help you afford buying new technology by minimizing the use of energy and having more saving. For example, in India, energy policy declaration by an organization is seen as a top management commitment toward continual improvement. And by the way, just so you know why they put the term continual improvement, we don't use the term continuous anymore, because continuous, you have to do it all around the clock for 24 hours. Continual means you have to do it within your capacity or ability to apply the energy performance. Plan. Come on, I think if you ask me what is the major slide in this and what is the major point about applying ISO 15000 and how we can do it, it's in this slide. First, you need to do an energy review study. And I always call it study because you have to start with a study. You have to review your performance. First, you have to identify your energy sources. Are you using solar, gas, water, wind, whatever the source? Identify the source. And then start doing the calculation of these sources together, each source by itself. And say, all right, I'm consuming, for example, electricity, my kilowatt per hour is 5,000. I'm consuming coal, my consumption is 5,000 tons per month. And I'm consuming water, and my consumption is 5,000 gallons per year. Once you have these identification and measurement of your energy review has been done, you can go into something called the baseline. Establish a date and a month and say, I'm starting my energy production plan today on the 27th of May 2015, and this is the reduction I'm looking for the next 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, whether your plan is short-term or medium-term or long-term. And then you need to energy performance indicator means measuring performance, setting target for the future. Once you have done that, you've measured your kilowatt per hour. First, you need to identify your energy source. How many sources? You might be using one source, then you're fine. You can add up all the number and say, I'm only using electricity. My kilowatt per hour is 5,000. I need to reduce that. Or you can say, I'm using natural gas, I'm using oil, I'm using coal, and these are the number, and derive a number for each energy source, because you cannot add the kilowatt per hour to your consumption of coal and consumption of water in gallons. These are different SI units. You need to take and develop a plan for each consumption baseline, which is the 27th of May 2015, and develop it in the future and say, I want to reduce it. So when we say continual improvement, why continual improvement? Because sometimes organizations fail in bringing down these number of energy consumption. Then what is the problem? You have to identify the gap. Are my machinery very old? Are my facility very old? What do I need to realize the saving? All right. The action plan, we know what's all about. And then you go into implementation and operation, the do. After the plan, remember, plan, do, check, act. We need to have an action plan to communicate it to the workforce. You cannot tell me that you are implementing energy management system and you don't have the energy management system policies on your website, on everybody's computer inside the organization, on the walls, on the entrances, so people know that you are turning off all the lights whenever operations start to save energy, that you are losing large scale windows that let lights in so you can use less electricity inside the organization, that you are moving from a regular bulb to LED to save energy, that you are shifting your production from these two machinery to a new machinery because they consume 50% less energy. And by the way, just since we're talking about implementation operation, all international manufacturers of cars, equipments, machinery, all they do from year to year is introduce new line of machinery that consume less energy. That's one of their main objectives. Because if you tell them, all right, you buy this machinery after 3 years, and it consumes more energy, nobody will buy it. This is one of their main targets. To be in the international market line and sell machinery, you need to save. That's it. This is the bottom line. If you tell the consumer, sorry, my machinery consumes after 3 years more energy, nobody will buy it. You'll be outside the market. And this is just applying ISO 50,000 world anywhere around the world. This is the communication. You need to record and document the implementation of the operation. You have to define the scope of boundary. Boundary means how many facility you're going to use it. In one facility, two facility, how many organization, what are the offices, everywhere. You have to define the scope and boundary where you're applying it. You have to put operational control. Example, when you leave the facility at 8 o'clock, you let one security guard check out that all electricity are out. For example, if you have some organization, when they leave the vending machine on. Putting a control point where you let a security guard or your camera check of all your vending machine. I'm talking about simple examples. You understand what this system is all about. Vending machine are out, not running all night long when nobody's there. Design a new modified, renovated facility, equipment and system. Invest in putting new facility because the saving will come on. You'll need to have an energy review study. The study will give you, if you put a new facility, how much you will save. Procurement of energy efficient product and service and energy. We're asking you inside your organization to call the supplier and tell them, are their machinery more energy efficient? Please tell me. Are your product more energy efficient? Tell me. And if you have two suppliers and one of them don't even care and the other is giving you statistics reading on the energy management, you should consider that as a baseline for procuring from that source where he is telling you and teaching you that I'm selling you efficient product and source. About monitoring and measurement, you take corrective action of your energy performance indicator. Did you hit it? Did it work? And you internal audit that system, because at the end of internal audit, you need to act. You can act through corrective action, preventive action. You can act through continual improvement of the system. You can act through management review. Comparison between 9,014 and 50,000. 50,000 is proposed to be in line with 9,014 and 18. We know that. It was driven in line with these standards, and it uses the same PDCA cycle. ISO 9000 fulfills the customer, what we call quality requirement. The main bone inside ISO 9000 is the activity. You study your activity in order to satisfy the customer and apply a regulatory requirement. So this is the spinal cord of ISO 9000. 14,000, it's about the spinal cord of 14,001 environmental management system is studying your activity, aspect, impact on the environment, on the people, on the what we call flora, fauna, fungus, human being, and everything surrounding that organization. While similarly, ISO 50001 implementation is expected to address how does it effectively manage energy source through energy review study, energy baseline, and then energy indicators in the future. All these global standards work for you. 50,000 is a new standard, just declared. Everybody is interested in it, and why there is an international recognition for this standard? Because of the benefit. It assists you in making better use of your existing consumption assets. It creates transparency and communication between managers about energy source. It promotes management to do the best management practices they need to know in order to implement the system, and it assists facilities in evaluating, prioritizing energy management technology, and providing framework for throughout the organization that studies your energy, facilitating implementation and facilitating how it works. It allows integration with other organization management system. You can integrate it with 9,000 quality, environment 14,000, 18,000 occupational health and safety, 27001 which is information security management system, and so on. All right. Now, benefit. the saving. Is it good? Does it add value? طبعا greater energy saving will give you more profit. You need to identify energy saving opportunity. You need to have valuable technical feedback, and you need external verification. That's why we do international audit on you when you're finished. You need independent validation of your energy management projects and practices. You have to find out if that energy management system works for you. No energy benefit. Sorry. طبعا I'm talking here about the improvement of behavior, legal compliance, and here I'm talking about the establishment and improvement of the system. How does it start? Start with policies, targets, started with diagnosing what you have, what are the identification plan, and طبعا we talked about energy policy action plan. طبعا you have to have an energy review in a study that's documented with numbers and measurement. No measurement, no improvement. You cannot improve what you cannot measure. You need energy, supply, uses, and consumption. You need measurement. You need to design your system, and you make sure that it works. How can you buy into it? Top management commitment. No top management commitment, no system. I've seen it happening all over the world. The management do not buy into it. They think it's hard. You cannot implement it. It's your way of middle management or lower level management to sit down with senior management, explain to them how we can do it, how we can put the mechanism for implementing ISO 50000. First, you need to establish a team. You have to have the team understand the standard. You have to do gap assessment. You have to have a work plan definition. You have to work plan to close the gaps, and then you go for certification once you have the system. See, way to save energy, kilometers. Usage of light emitting diodes, for example, LED. طبعا I changed 1 year back. I changed all the lighting inside my house. طبعا I don't want to tell you what happened with my wife because she hated me. She wanted to kick me outside the house. But beside that story, kicking me out, I changed all the lights into a light emitting diodes lighting system. And you know, these lights give white, bright light. And my wife was saying, the house looks awful. Anyhow, I told her it's either we change the light or change my wife. So we decided, yeah, we'll change the lights. Anyhow, that was a good, easy solution to it. And let's look at the light bulb comparison. We have what we call the regular bulb, incandescent bulb. We have the halogen. We have the compact fluorescent. And now we have the LED, the light emitting diodes. Look at the brightness. You will see that the brightness is the same. The main saving here is what? The life of the bulb. 1,000 hours to LED 25,000 hours. Look at the energy use. You're going from 60 watt to 12 watt only. So after 1 year, yes, my energy bill, I kept my wife and the energy bill went down. That was my main targets, okay? And look at the price per bulb. Although you have to invest more, but you get more a lifetime. And I'll give you an example. I used to buy in my house these small fans. I used to buy them from Germany. So one time, 2 of my German fans blew up. So I had to buy these from China. And they were what we call the stuff you find on the shelf without any quality certificate or anything, but they're very cheap. They were only $3. So I bought them. And I had to change them every 15 days. I'm paying $3, 15 days, $3. The German ones, the quality one who had CE marking, were certified with ISO 50000 energy management system, were running smoothly for 7 years. Imagine the cycle of changing them between 15 days and 5 to 7 years. And imagine the energy saving I had when I was using the good quality one, where they were produced by system certified by ISO 50001. So what did I do? I threw out the cheap ones and went back to the German ones. Now, example of energy saving, we have in KSE, for example. KSE is Kuwait Oil Company, one of the main oil companies in Kuwait. They have taken advantages of using the energy management system. This is what we call a landmark on behalf of KOC has been done. The total consumption was 35 watt as compared to 140 watt, which means they have achieved 75% in energy saving when they have recently moved from the tube lights to the LED light emitting diode bulb. It was GE, it's General Electric illumination. Provide good efficiency lighting, which influence work performance and well-being. Uniform illumination surface. When you have good quality LED, you have a uniform surface where lights is available everywhere. Sustainable green choice for energy saving, and you have a long life of 50,000 hours. Think about it. If you're sitting in the house and the light bulb works for 50,000 hours, that's awesome. Remember, we're lazy at home. We don't want to go and fix, especially with the wife, right? She's telling you, do this, do that, change this, change that. When you have less work at home, you feel comfortable. You feel you have sustainable energy. And you have 2,000 days to count for it. Beautiful. Now, saving with vending machine also. They're installing timers. They're unplugging during vacation. They're telling these vending machines they consume a lot of energy. For example, in Egypt, they did a beautiful system. In Egypt, they're asking you if you're a consumer, one inspector will visit you, and they're doing this also in Tunisia, but it started in Egypt. And what they're doing is they will visit you and they will check the power factor on your fridge. They will check the power factor on your dishwasher, on your washing machine. And if you have less power factor, means your machinery consumes more energy and gives us less output, they will let you pay more taxes and more dividends. So they have an energy power factor of 25% as an acceptable power factor. So if your machinery has a less power factor and consumes more energy, you pay more. That's it. That was a beautiful system implemented to support the ISO 50000. Now look at the global energy demand. We have the conventional source, which is oil, gas, and coal. And you have the alternative sources we talked about, the nuclear, the hydro, the biomass. You all know that. Look at the renewable energy. What is the definition of renewable source? It doesn't stop producing. You will never have a wind that stops from happening. It's a renewable source. Wind will keep reproducing itself. Solar, wind, energy, and look at the increase in percentage of growth over the solar, which is 9.6%, and the wind, which is 12.4%. Awesome. You look at the graph and you see the increase in the usage of renewable source. It's free. It's out there. All you need to do is put equipment and capture it. And there is a global demand for it, and I think this is the bottom line for saving energy in the future. What do energy efficiency talks about? Saving cheaper than production. And for example, look at this new power plant investment in $1,600 per kilowatt, and look at the energy efficient building investment. You build an energy efficient building, you consume less electricity, and your cost of kilowatt per hour will be less, from $1,600 per kilowatt to $300 per kilowatt. This is the electricity, which is the main source of energy around the world: generation, transmission, distribution, and going to the customer. And this is, I'm giving an example since I'm headquartered in Kuwait. We at GEC, Global Experience Consulting Company, we consult mainly from Kuwait, but we work in the whole Gulf area. I'm talking about Kuwait as our headquarters, where local primary energy of oil and gas consumption per sector, and look at the Ministry of Electricity and Water consumption. I have a better graph, yeah, this one. If you look at the electricity consumption in Kuwait by sector, and you'll see that the residential is killing us. It's the light bulb, it's the air conditioning, it's the freezers, it's your white product. Look how much it takes, and look how much if the household, the husband or the wife took a decision to be energy conscious, how much they can save in the Kuwaiti community. And look at power and energy demand in Kuwait. It's going crazy. Never stopped, never went down. From 1999 till 2010, look at the number, till it reaches 10,928. Wow, it's peaking. And this is in million watts. طبعا, you look at even if you want to study the behavior of energy in Kuwait, you will see that July is the peak, and the main peak between the months is May, going back, May, June, July, and August and September, where ACs and electricity are a main, what we call focal point or main uses during the summertime because of the hot weather. We have a very nice hot weather. It only reaches 55. Sometimes we see 56, 57, which is very nice. But anyhow, it's time to find an energy efficient methodology, policy, energy management system that saves us during May, June, July, August. Because imagine what happens if you have an outage or a breakdown in your electricity production. You will have a major problem. طبعا, this is the type of number in buildings in Kuwait, and you will see again private and residential are the main part of the Kuwaiti community. And you talk about energy and utility fact about Kuwait, AC and lighting building account for nearly 85% of the peak of electricity and 60% of the annual consumption. Fuel share, if you talk about fuel share in power plants, is about 84% for electricity and 16% for water. Imagine the waste. We're wasting energy. We need to talk about, and I'll talk about another way, subsidizing electricity charges. Do you know how much we charge? We charge you in Kuwait, if you consume electricity, 2 fils per kilowatt. That's less than 1 cent per kilowatt per hour. Imagine the actual cost on the government, which is 40 fils, almost 15 to 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Wow. Look at the subsidized difference. Look how much the government is producing. I mean, the government is taking a load in order to produce for your electricity. Produce for your energy, for your lighting, and for your AC. These are the codes for the building where they are trying to build what we call energy efficient building. They limit the AC peak power AC peak power watt per meter square for air and water cooled system, for residential building, and for other buildings. We talk about mosque, we talk about other stuff. Ministry also talked about the code of practice where you should understand how the energy management system is transferable. I think the whole issue starts with the home and then goes to the whole area of the government. I think to implement an efficient management system or an efficient energy program, we need to start this at home before we start it at any facilities around the world. I think it's a governmental issue to study reducing demand and to study about supply optimization and diversification to develop a solution for sustainable energy. Look at this. This was prepared by one of my colleagues. I loved it. Engineer Sayed prepared it for me, and I told him thank you. Look at the window to wall ratio. It's only 10% in the 60s. Look at the 80s and 90s, only 15 to 20%. Now, look at 2000 to 2010. The window ratio wall is 30 to 50%. More lighting, and you get more lighting in, but you get more electricity. And this is the comparison. This is what's happening around the world. Now, ISO 50000 international adapter. Now, Lamborghini is my favorite car because it's very fast, and when you drive that car, every single woman walking on the street will look at you. So, applying 50,000 by Lamborghini is awesome. Look at the other. Look at the telecom in France. Look at China Steel, Delhi International Airport. They've taken a giant step. They're doing excellent in the Delhi International Airport. Data center in Holland. Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks. It's a beautiful experience in Hong Kong. They're putting this all over their parks. Hyundai Motors. Tavan, will you buy a Hyundai? Yes, if I know they're implementing 50,000. Other groups, Northern Rail, Pfizer Ireland, medicine, medical product. Glass, Sweden, refineries in Spain, Tokyo Energy Service, Middle East, UAE, Utico, Wiji, and Yokohama Tire. All right. Now these are case studies. I'm talking about here what they did in United Kingdom. By the way, we're coming to the end of it, so we're gonna start taking your question and answer. So feel free after all this pressure, take a deep breath and start listening about. This is what they did in Coca-Cola Enterprise in England, one of Europe's largest drinking manufacturing facility. When they wanted to implement 50,000, Coca-Cola invested British pound 51 million in improving its operation at Wakefield and producing at Wakefield around 6,000 cans of soft drink every minute. The plant has cut water consumption by 10%. Beautiful. Energy uses by 16.5%, the new design. And they started implementing ISO 50,000 and its bid for further Coca-Cola ambition to have or become a low carbon business. What did they have, the initiatives? They introduced natural light in their own production line from the sun. Bigger, what we call glasses and special screen. They started filling cans and bottles at more ambient temperature to cut energy used by chillers. Beautiful. Installing a real-time monitoring system to measure how much energy and water is being used. And if you put in your plant these meters where you can actually go down to these meters every day, every week, or every month, whatever the frequency is, and you start taking readings from these meters of your natural gas, of your electricity and water, it will do terrific result to your plant. Okay. Now this is another case study from Sri Lanka. They described the usage of 5-star resort, and they become recently what we call the first hotel in the country to achieve 50,000. And decision to implement energy management system was taken by the owners at that time of Atkins Spence Hotel, and management used it as a tool to reduce energy consumption, to tell their residents that they are caring about the environment. And they have had initiatives such as replacing all special light bulbs, incandescent light bulbs, to saving bulbs. They created staff awareness. They had efficient operational procedure. They reduced what we call cold room opening hour. They operated laundry machinery only when fully loaded. They operated the kitchen pastry mixers at off-peak hours only. They implemented proper preventive maintenance schedule so the machinery have less breakdown. They have cleaning chillers, condenser periodically in a program. It's called predictive maintenance program. And they were cleaning machinery filter regularly so the machine runs faster. It gives you more power and more efficiency. Taban, case study 3 comes from Bentley. I love Bentley. Okay, everybody want to own a Bentley, right? One day. But not today, maybe one day. But they started implementing ISO 50,000 in the main plant, okay, in the United Kingdom. And what were the initiative? They reduced operational overhead costs, leading to increased profitability. They reduced air emissions, such as greenhouse gases. So air emission was a main concern. They increased efficiency of energy sources. They increased assurance of legal and internal compliance. And by the way, some organizations, especially in Europe and the US, they're using the system of 50,000 standard as a way to lower their insurance coverages. They're telling them we are sound, we are efficient, energy sound, we care about the energy, we have a system to monitor our energy, we are a safer place, please lower down our insurance premium, and it's happening. They're getting a lot of insurance, what we call premium cuts. Taban, increasing understanding of energy use consumption via defined method and process of data collection and improvement. Conclusion, beautiful. This is after exercise 3. Certification to this system proves that the energy management system meets requirement of 50,000, gives customers, consumers, stakeholders, employees, management more confidence about your energy system. Organization will continue to get better at managing its energy. Additional cost saving can be generated through your energy review study and through your energy baseline year you decided through your future of saving. Consistent energy management helps organizations to realize untapped energy efficiency, and it is able to make a significant contribution to the environment. And climate protection, for example, by the permanent reduction of CO2 emission, we talked about Kyoto, and the standard gives a huge image boost for the organization. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I haven't taken a lot of time in doing my presentation. I'm going to look now for Mustafa to bring everybody on. Thank you. Thanks our partner, international partner, PECB, my company, Global Experience Consulting Company. Thanks all the attendees. Thanks the global participation. Thanks PECB for giving us the chance to talk about 50,000. And I think now it's time for questions and answers. Mustafa?
Thank you very much, Tawfik, for this great
I hope my voice was clear.
Yes, it was very clear, and thank you very much. Yeah, it was a great presentation, and thank you all of the others for attending this webinar. We appreciate the time you took, Mr. Tawfik, to share your expertise with our attendees. Okay, so we will be answering all the questions raised through email, since the timing is like already we are 1 hour in this webinar. So we will the questions will be answered all through emails. So I would just like to give you more information about next week's webinar, which will be on oil and gas awareness webinar, ISO 29001-2010, which will be also hosted by Engineer Tawfik. Thank you once again, and everyone have a nice day.
Thank you.